heartfelt namaste. I, Anuradha, would like to thank all of you for liking, sharing, and subscribing to our YouTube and Spotify channels and writing in your comments and suggestions there. Today, we have with us Charlotte Benson. A warm welcome to you, Charlotte.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here with you.
Well, Charlotte is one of the who's who in the world of astrology. She has an entire list that is a little too difficult to read out at the moment, but I just say she has just told me one thing, which I think would stay in my heart for a long time to come. Be proud, but be humble, because that's what she is. She's happy to help others. She's happy to have that knowledge, but she still is firmly grounded to her roots for what she is. A warm welcome to you, Charlotte, once again.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So, Charlotte, what are we going to learn from you today?
Well, gosh, that remains to be seen, so my sun cult for your audience is to offer something new, maybe from a bit of a different perspective. And I think that it might be very interesting to talk about Jupiter's movement through Aquarius between now and the springtime. This is certainly an improvement of where Jupiter had been previously, and I think there's some some specific strategies that might come out of this for us to be in alignment with what Jupiter has to say. This is, of course, the point of Jyotish, is to be in alignment with what the planets are already doing. So I think there's a lot to work with here recently.
Thank you so much. So Jupiter in Aquarius for all the different lagnas that we see, the ascendants.
Oh, well, sure, we could do that, but I wanted to say that first of all that I think that the basic idea of Jupiter and Aquarius, if we can also add some of the sort of the psychological components, or the contemporary sort of the meme in the air, or the trend of the times. I think that one of the reasons that Jupiter and Aquarius has such a good reputation, let's call it a good reputation, is that, well, yes, first of all, we're very relieved that Jupiter has gotten out of the sign of its debilitation, and I think that the lack of dharma because of its position there is going to really quickly resolve itself. By that I mean to say that since Jupiter is in an air sign, now an Aries sign, I think that people will simply be choosing much more constructive or positive thoughts. So that, I think I realize that's a really big idea, but consciousness is what makes the world go round, right? So I think that Jupiter in Aquarius, since it's again has to do with thoughts, ideas, inventions, it has to do with there's more of the inclusive, altruistic sense of what's good for one is good for all sort of situation. It's not quite as fear-based. Well, it's not at all fear-based like it was in Jupiter was in Capricorn. So now I think that the benefit that people might be able to perceive is that more of an interconnection with each other somehow. Again, since that's what Aquarius is about, bringing everybody forward together in some evolutionary way. So that's the main idea. I think, okay, back to consciousness. Now, when I hear myself say that, I think, well, that's a pretty pretentious idea, consciousness. Well, yeah, it sounds that way, but it's not. This is really what I think that what Aquarius is about, is the consciousness of shared humanity, or even larger than that, our entire ecosystem of on this poor little planet of ours. So anyway, I think that will be generally helpful. And that more the idea is for people to working together, and also the changes in any government or in any social system coming from the bottom up, from the, there was a saying back in the day, if the people lead, the leaders will follow. So it is to be hoped that there's some common sense improvements along those lines. It seems here, you can tell I live in the United States. I can feel a little bit of an improvement in the last couple of weeks, where people are not intentionally clinging to their stupid ideas. There's a lot of stupid ideas in America. I mean, with all due respect, I'm sure there's a lot of stupid ideas everywhere.
Everywhere in the world, yes.
But I think again, the idea here is that more of the sense of cooperation, altruism, and working together for the good of the whole, and not just the fear-based individual. So I wanted to start with that, and so that's the theme between now and the spring, at the end of the first quarter. So I thought I would comment on Jupiter in the Mars-ruled nakshatra of Dhanishta.
Right.
This is, let's see, until the 1st of January. So now this is, I think, the ancient Puranic stories. This is the nakshatra where Amrita was discovered, the elixir of life. So I'm thinking that all this should be a little bit of an improvement in the pandemic COVID situation. How, I don't know the mechanism of that, but again, and then as I say to my clients, I say, oh, there's an improvement, and then I offer, how much of an improvement? What 20% maybe, just to pick a concept, not 100% improvement, but significant. At least it's an improvement. So I think that's significant and positive. And the other really hope-inspiring concept is that I think that probably your audience knows that Dhanishta is associated with studying the Shastras. And well, I do have to say, as the president of the American College of Vedic Astrology, it is just remarkable how in the last couple of weeks, since Jupiter entered Aquarius, we have had so many new students in our college. It's either a coincidence but I say that in a fun way. But I think that, all right, so if people are studying the ancient Shastras, that precludes, or that means that they're possibly not going to be as interested in the hogwash and the rubbish that passes for information. Again, I'm familiar with what goes on here in the States. I don't know if the deliberate misinformation situation prevails in India or Europe or those places, but this will be an improvement in terms of the quality of where people get their information and how they form judgments and make decisions. So I'm happy about that. So then Jupiter, as you probably well know, will be in Shatabisha between the 1st of January and the 1st of March, so that 2-month period. Again, all I can say is that there may be a little bit of backsliding then. I think we're making progress here in December, but then Jupiter enters a Rahu-ruled nakshatra, so there may be a little bit of a disturbance in the field. But then Jupiter moves into its own nakshatra, Purva Bhadrapada, and that again that might be a little bit more choppy, but I think in general we're working towards improvement, just in individual consciousness, which then expands to collective consciousness, not collective unconsciousness. We've already been through that. So your audience is interested in Jupiter in their okay, I'll have to do this from memory then. Jupiter in their lagna, or their moon sign, or And there's that side. Well, all right. So for Aries rising people, then Jupiter is sort of a mixed blessing, being the lord of their 12th house and the 9th house. But I think for Aries rising people in the next, let me see, what is this? December, January, February, March, April, in the next 5 months, I think that any attention put on advancing their own higher knowledge, whether it's through any kind of formal educational course or through their individual reading, their lifetime reading list. I think that's the best use of that energy for Aries rising people. I think it's good for Aries rising people to reformulate their mission statement or their vision statement or something like, what they believe, and put that, just to sort of focus their purpose. Again, to put it in sort of modern terminology, if you would, because, then Jupiter's in 11th Jupiter's their 9th house lord in the 11th house. So it's certainly good for finances. Unless that's also associated with spending money too. Keep your expenses under. I think that there's more opportunity to make money, especially in side ventures. Of course, income earned through the career, but also side ventures. But once you get it, hold on to it. So then for Taurus rising people, there's a benefit from increased occult knowledge and metaphysical abilities. If there's Taurus rising people who are astrologers, this could be an improvement in their ability to predict. And then also the 11th house for Taurus, and the 11th house lord is in the 10th. So again, considering the fact that there may be, the Taurus rising people may be able to branch out away from their main profession and have some income from side ventures. But that's definitely a good position professionally for Taurus rising people. And then for Gemini rising people, that could be, since Jupiter's the lord of their 7th house of partnerships, and the lord of their 10th house of their name, their game, and their fame, their professional placement. This again is an improvement. Jupiter will be transiting through the 9th house for Gemini rising people. Yes. So again, increasing knowledge, maybe some benefit from foreign contacts somehow, international travel, but again, increase in wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. I think that would, with Jupiter, with a minimum amount of effort, there's major gains. So again, it's something to be taken advantage of. And so for Cancer rising people, Jupiter is their 6th house lord and their 9th house lord. So again, I think that in its position in the 8th house, again, the most positive effect from this could be that their Cancer rising people's partners can benefit financially, or in almost any way. Jupiter, in my Western language, I call Jupiter the planet of evolution. I guess it's a broad-based idea, but wherever Jupiter is traveling through that area, there's evolution there. That would be the net result, the effect of that, any amount of time that Jupiter spends there. And if you can keep that in mind, even if Jupiter's also a great teacher, not this type of teaching that Saturn is. Typically, Saturn teaches you what not to do, but Jupiter will at least tell you what, pay attention, take the high road, take a calculated risk, and that could be beneficial. That could be beneficial. So then for Leos, obviously. Leos too are benefiting from having Jupiter running through their house of their social capital. I'm going to put it that way. Yes, we realize that this is, I mean, we already know that, excuse me, that the seventh house is the house of the significant other person, but it's also the house of the general public or anyone who is not you. So whether it's, I mean, so that's anybody else on this planet. And so this can, the benefit for Leo rising people is that, excuse me, is that there will be, they can benefit from new associations. I'm thinking though that since Jupiter is the Lord of, for Leo rising people, Jupiter's the Lord of the 8th house, there could be some air clearing in terms of relationships. There could be some, perhaps some, and then necessity to rewrite some roles and responsibilities or division of labor in terms of people that are actually in committed relationships.
So just a word here. So when the 7th lord is in the 8th house, transit or otherwise, you think there can be some amount of air clearing in terms of relationship, or past relationships can be coming up in front of you, and you could be then trying to redo what was wrong or something like that, and Jupiter helps you doing that, Charlotte?
Well, it could be. Well, possibly, sure. So I said something, again, using a kind of a, an American concept of air clearing. That's kind of a loaded statement, because it can say that there could be the type of crisis that comes up where it just can't be, it can't just be pacified or, swept under the rug in a certain way. That it just brings things up in a highly charged way, that where if the relationship is going to continue, then it would continue on a cleaner level, if we can put it that way. Mm-hmm. And then, but if not, people can at least understand what the real dynamics are in the relationship, because obviously Jupiter's the planet of wisdom and knowledge and understanding. It's not more information, it's the understanding that comes along with this. Leo will be able to understand their partners better.
And okay, so what you're trying to say is that they can know one way or the other, things better, and if you have to restart, then you restart on a cleaner slate, and if you don't have to restart, at least you know where you're standing and go forward, taking certain decisions on that scale.
Yes. Right? Yes, very well put, dear. Thank you. This is, as I sometimes say to my clients, this is a team sport, doing Jyotish. It takes a couple of good minds to make the application of this. But then again, for Leo rising people, that could be an improvement in a situation with children, just generally, somehow. That's a word I use a lot. Somehow, that you have to, but again, we have to take our we have to take action in any given sense, especially associated with Jupiter. There's an option for improvement here, but again, a person has to move forward and take as I say, a calculated risk to move forward.
See, unless you don't do work, you're not going to get the effects. So it's important that you work to be able to reap onto the benefits, right? So
yeah, but yes, but again, Anuradha, this is something associated with, maybe it's not so much work, maybe it's just since Jupiter has to do with decisions and intelligence, maybe it's also associated with just keeping your eyes open for the opportunity, and the timing will be right, so that you can kind of slide into something that's, as I say, more evolutionary, without working quite so hard. But we'll see. So
Virgo.
So Virgo, again, Virgo, Jupiter's transiting through the 6th house. So again, this could indicate that since Jupiter is the lord of their fourth house, that there could be some issues that need to be taken care of in their domestic sphere on a kind of a practical level of wherever they're living, improved living situations somehow. And then obviously it's very good for, or it would be good in the short term for working conditions. Maybe Virgo rising people will find people that will help them do their jobs in order to deliver their deliverables in a better manner. That's a possibility. Then also, since Jupiter's the lord of the seventh house in the sixth house, there may be some complications in terms of relationships. Just using that kind of broad word, complications, but it's still in general, since Jupiter has moved into an improved position in the sky, I believe that for Virgo rising people, that will be an improvement in their relationships somehow, or connecting with other people, or collaborations, or associations, or that type, or again, transactional business in general.
Right.
So then for Libra rising people, Jupiter is again they're moving through their fifth house of Purva Punya. That's always fun. So again, Libra rising people would be on the lookout to take advantage more than they possibly would under other circumstances to take a calculated risk. Now, I'm not saying go, bet everything on the turn of a card or on a cryptocurrency deal, but still, there's definitely room for improvement, for their children, for again, income earned through speculation and creativity. Libra rising people, anybody that's a consultant, this is particularly good for them in this position. It's very good for Libra rising people for chanting mantras, classic Sanskrit mantras, and so I think that that's where the benefit is. Maybe in some kind of literal speculation in the stock markets, or the shares market, there could be an improvement there between now and April. Something like that. So Scorpio rising.
To the Scorpio, yes, for the Scorpio rising.
So Scorpio rising people, again, so Scorpio rising people could benefit financially from real estate related projects. Perhaps Jupiter will be going through the fourth house of homeland, property, security, etc., for Scorpio rising people. So for that brief and shining moment between now and somewhere in April, improvement in domestic situation, whether it's an improvement in the actual real estate structure of the house, the four walls of the home, there should be more peace and tranquility and subjective sense of security for the time being, or maybe laying a new foundation, starting some new kind of domestic community situation. It's positive in that arena for sure. So Sagittarius people will have plenty of energy to get things done. I think so, because Jupiter will be flowing. Jupiter will be flowing really quickly, as a matter of fact, through Sagittarius rising's third house. So Sagittarius people that are either moon sign or rising sign, especially for salespeople, this is a really good period for that sort of thing, for talking, thinking, doing, going, seeing, connecting the dots, moving around. And if there's it adds a little bit of a theatrical quality to Sagittarius rising people, where if in any way that they have a platform to act out their ideas, this is lovely for that. Typically Sagittarius rising people make the most of those kinds of positions, but I think that also this is, that the third house is highly underrated, I think. because if you see people that get things done in life, it's not so much associated with their intelligence. It's just the amount of energy they have available to make it work. So this is where Sagittarian rising people are really in a position to make things happen for themselves. And of course, the younger sibling will benefit, and they could, may be better for them simply processing information and conveying information. Very good on that level.
Thank you so much. So next time when we meet with Charlotte, we are going to talk about her opinion and her views on the third house.
I'm a big fan of the third house. You probably have a lot of planets there, right, Anuradha? You're so organized and energetic. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So then Capricorn rising people will be very happy to hear that their financial situation is likely to improve. And again, simply because it's Jupiter now, of course, Capricorn rising people have a little bit of a dilemma. Jupiter's their 12th house lord. And again, there can be expenses, but again, the advice for Capricorn people, while Jupiter's in Sagittarius in their second house, is to intentionally give money away. And we might be saying, but what, didn't you hear that they're Capricorn rising or Capricorn moons? What about giving money away? I'm just joking around a little bit, but seriously, that would be a way to sort of bypass, again, bypass the 12th lord in the second house of money. Or there could be, again, a necessary capital investment, not invention, but it could be an invention. And there could be an improvement in Capricorn rising people's diet. And Capricorn rising people could be more aware of the power of the spoken word. I'm also a big fan of the spoken word. So I think that Jupiter, the planet of wealth in whatever form, going through the house of the spoken word, maybe Capricorn rising people can develop their Vak Siddhi, the ability to turn words into form. I mean, why not put some attention on that? So then for Aquarius people, this has got to be a definite improvement. Aquarius rising people, they've got that dilemma. Their Lagnapati is their 12th house lord too. So God bless them. But here is a short-term break for again for Aquarius rising people having Jupiter in the first house. So this has definitely put as much effort as you can to the first order of business is self-understanding, isn't it? It's not all about making money or securing the family. Well, of course, all these things are very, very important, but this is a rare moment where Aquarius rising people have, they can have a tendency to be a bit detached about themselves and who they are. But this is, I think, the real benefit here is that people it's either self-understanding or self-acceptance or both of those things for the duration here. But I think this is, again, a real boost for Aquarius rising people or Aquarius moon people. And then, of course, there's dear Pisces moon, Pisces rising people. So again, to the degree that Pisces is interested in material gain or material resources or saving money, I think Pisces rising people have an opportunity to save money during this period between now and April. And let's see, what else would this be good for? Well, lots of different things. They can improve their diet and those sorts of things as well. And then Jupiter will soon enough be in Pisces, and then the Pisces people will be able to. I think that if Pisces people, Jupiter is in their, Jupiter's in the 12th house for Pisces people. I think that if they're doing even more intentional spiritual practices, then they'll see the benefit I mean, I know you're not supposed to practice spirituality for an intended benefit. I mean, we all know that, but I think that somehow that there'll be that the improvement in their general living conditions because of their increased dedication to doing their sadhana, however that happens.
Totally agree with you. Though we are not, but invariably we see a reflection of it in the material life also. You're so true on that.
Yes.
That was a beautiful part that came out, Charlotte. And since you mentioned the third house and you mentioned a number of things about it, I just say that whether I have a planet there or not, or planets there or not, is left to be seen. But you certainly do have, of that I'm very sure.
Oh, bless your heart.
Thank you. We meet you again with the promise of coming back with the third house with you. Thank you so much for the wonderful session.
Okay. All right. Thank you, dear. Thank you.
Please hit the bell icon for fresh updates. Don't forget to like, share, and comment on the videos, and please subscribe to our channel.